What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast. We talk the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
And Chris Abercon.
What's going on, everybody?
What's going on? So definitely continue to tune in. So Monday, Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion, Thursdays Ask a CISSP, and then Fridays everything else. So we talk about movies, books, games, all that good stuff. If you're listening to us on 99.1, you get all that stuff at one time on Tuesdays. So definitely continue to check us out. And without further ado, I give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. This article comes from Bloomberg.com, written by Jake Blyberg and Margie Murphy. And the title of this one is FBI warned agents it believes phone logs hacked last year. Wait a minute. It believes phone logs hacked last year. Yes, that's accurate. That's the way it's written. I don't know why it sounded weird to me as I read it out loud. But the FBI was warning that the breach could expose informants, is what they're talking about. And this was the AT&T breach we had last year, right? And I think it was June or July or something like that. I think it was. Might have been May. I can't remember. Was it May?
It was May, right? May to October last year.
It was like a 6-month long time frame, right? But yeah, so what they're saying is this is coming back to bite us, right? So AT&T had this snowflake breach, right? And what they're talking about is that the FBI agents, different calls and information that they may have had, on their phones, whether it be through text logs, call logs, and things of that nature, how it could be exploited, right? So the FBI actually, as I was reading through this article, they talked about them having a carrier deal with AT&T that was FBI specific. I didn't know that was what they were doing. So this is why it hits home a little bit harder from them, right? So just the different things that could be used against them, right, is like if you have confidential informants, right? Or if for whatever reason you were conducting business over the phone, right? They talk about how this information could be exploited. And they go into the article a little bit talking about how in the future, maybe they could do some things a little differently, like when it comes to using encrypted apps, encrypted phone apps and messaging apps and things of that nature to try to keep some of this stuff from being exposed like it was. But this is the world we live in now, right? Like we have breaches all the time now, to where it wasn't that surprising that it happened. And I know at work we have a coworker that's AT&T that's hard to get a hold of, so we always joke, he has AT&T, that's why you couldn't get a hold of him, right? So I mean, I don't know, like maybe we should have had more sympathy, right? Maybe it was his phone was hacked, you know what I mean, because of his call logs or something. I don't know, I'm joking, but yeah, this has the ability to have those second and third order effects we're always talking about, right? So it doesn't take much. Like even if they're speaking to someone that's not an AT&T customer, right? Like we've had other hacks from like Verizon. Verizon has been hacked before, you know what I mean? Like you got T-Mobile has been hacked numerous times, you know what I mean? So it's not like if they have a big bundle of this information, they can't put 2 and 2 together to try to figure these different things out. You know what I mean? So this is, we can't just always assume, and we say this all the time, we talk about second and third order effects. We can't just always assume that once a breach has happened, that's it, that's the end of it. Nothing else will come of it, right? And this is a perfect example of that, right? And it goes deep when it comes to dealing with the FBI. But Chris, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think it's very concerning, obviously, if you're just a regular person, minding your business, and then next thing you know, you're seeing news articles saying, hey, your information's out there, right? So it's a very concerning thing for definitely the general public. It's very interesting as well that, in reading this article, I'm like, oh, AT&T was hacked again? When I first started reading it, I was like a little bit tired, right? I'm like, oh, it's that snowflake thing that happened last year. I do remember covering that in depth in a previous podcast, right? So it should just give you an example of, like Shan said, the first and second and third order effects of the things that happen when there is a data breach. But it also goes to show you that the protection of your data, however that may be as an organization, is extremely important, specifically of how you silo your, repositories for these phone numbers, right? And the article specifically stated that they use stolen credentials to access accounts that hadn't been protected by multi-factor authentication. There it is, right? So even the article goes in depth in saying, this is not a technology. So one of the former FBI agents on the article, right? He said, quote, "This is an OPSEC failure more than a technology failure." So really the like everybody says, and any cybersecurity professional will tell you that the biggest threat, or unfortunately, sometimes your people, right? It's the actions they take to secure or not secure your systems. So it's really important for any organization reading this or anybody listening to take a look at your own security practices and say, hey, do I use MFA? Do I use make sure to use your biometrics on everything? The Apple passwords, they spit out gibberish that I can't remember, right? So, whenever you create something, so that works for me. But that being said, I understand, being, on a Snowflake or whatever, you're using credentials on some potential single sign-on, right? There's various options to utilize password managers to be able to do that. And if your organization or whatever, if you are having issues with passwords, look into password managers, right? There's a lot out there. They're varying in prices, right? I'm putting my consulting hat on. I think that's kind of what I started.
Right.
And definitely check out the technology that's available to you. And of course, to be aware of these things like Snowflake. If you are using Snowflake in your environment, be aware that, hey, there might be and this breach happened and you may be affected, right? But again, we're finding out about this FBI stuff now, even though it happened last year, right? Obviously, FBI doesn't want everybody to know, at the time that this happened, hey, we were affected as well. So those are just little things to consider, right? I'm sure, surely FBI has done a great job of getting new numbers, things like that for all their agents. Ryan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you guys are spot on as usual, right? The bottom line is tell your informants to put MFA on their phones. All right, they're messing up the weakest link in this chain. All jokes aside, yeah, MFA, right? Like it's just not a matter of what am I trying to say? It's not a matter of people understanding technology. It's a matter of forcing it on them sometimes. And in this case, it should have been forced on them to better protect them. Because now you have a bunch of people, you have agents that are probably cases are like, they're having issues because either they have to pull out or change something, or they don't know what has been compromised phone log wise, things of that nature, which I assume they do know because of the delay. I believe they probably scrubbed the information, did their own investigation, and they pretty much know what was seen, what was not seen, all that good stuff before they release to the public. Because people have to go into witness protection, things like that. Like there's probably a lot of rigmarole behind the scenes, and I wish we could get one of our special guests on to talk about it because he's very knowledgeable about all this FBI stuff. So let me see if I get him on the horn.
So did you notice he's the one they quoted in the bottom of the article? Miguel Clark. Is who they yes. I was waiting to see. Miguel Clark is the one that gives that quote at the bottom of the article, and he has been a guest on the show.
I did not beat that. There it is. Miguel Clark, a former agent in Dallas who retired in 2021. There you go.
My guy. That's awesome.
There it is. So yeah, definitely check out all of his commentary and what have you. But yeah, I would like to talk to him about that, just about the stuff he can discuss, right? Like how much of a pain in the butt is this for the agency due to something that's completely out of their hands? And it's kind of out of AT&T's hands as well, right? Like Snowflake is the ultimately responsible for this. Not to say that foreign agencies should be in our networks to begin with, right? So AT&T does also have responsibility for that because we shouldn't have our near peers spying on us. So there's a lot to unpack there, just in those two things. But what really stuck out to me was that they're saying that in July, AT&T may have paid upwards of $400,000 to have stolen data erased. It never settles well with me. Not just because you're feeding stray cats in this regard, but it's the trusting people who did something illegal to do something correct if you pay them. Like, who's to say that I won't just take your money and keep the data anyway? Like, where does that trust come from? I assume some kind of broker is involved in this. I don't trust anybody, man. Like, if I were to hit the lotto tomorrow, I would have, a financial team and all that good stuff. But then I would have a team watching my team, and a team watching my team watching my team.
Team of teams.
Right. Like, I don't trust people. Like, who's to say that, any of this stuff is actually being done because you don't have your hands on it, right? Like, you're not actually watching them purge the data. So I don't know. So a lot of concern coming from this one. I think it's a really good Bloomberg article. And shout out to Miguel Clark. Like, yeah, that's see full circle. Like, I didn't even know. It's in real time. I discovered that he was in this article. So
I read it and I left it out there. I saw it and I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, Miguel Clark.
Yeah, good catch, good catch. But yeah, definitely continue to check us out. Monday and Tuesday are topics. Wednesday discussion. Thursdays Ask a CISSP. I haven't had one in a while. I've been going through and doing some edits and what have you to make those shows episodes are really good. And just look forward to them in the new year. And then Fridays everything else: movies, books, games, all that good stuff. Hit up all the websites that go by our name, either the other side of the firewall, the other side of the FW, or Ask a CISSP on the social medias, except for TikTok because it's down today. So when you hear this, we'll see if it's still down. Like we're in the past when you hear this one. And then you can hit me in person at RY Security Guy. That's RY Security Guy. You can find me pretty much on all the platforms except for TikTok. And where can they find you, Chris?
You can find me on LinkedIn under my name, Chris Abacon, last name spelled A Bacon.
There it is. Stay safe. Stay secure.